Dusk needs no introduction. It's one of my favorite games ever made and a fantastic callback to FPS titans of old. While it takes plenty of inspiration from Quake and Doom for its fast and frenetic action, there's also masterful interludes of pure atmosphere or even horror. If you've played the game, you probably know which levels I'm talking about. And while E2M2, whose proper name is Unseen, isn't my favorite map, I do think it's exceptionally creepy and atmospheric. In this video I will analyze this little masterpiece and tell you all about why it's so great. Dusk is divided into 3 episodes, and each of them has a distinct atmosphere, along with unique enemy rosters. The first episode is The Foothills, and the atmosphere here is supposed to be about a scary cult that's completely taken over the outback of the town called Dusk. There's a sense of being faced with dangerous psychos controlled by some paranormal force. Even the soldiers sent to contain the situation have been possessed. Things are a bit out of this world, but everything here has been brought about by human hands. Episode 3 is called The Nameless City. It takes place in some dimension completely separate from our world, and things are seriously paranormal. We see the source of the force that's corrupted the rural areas around Dusk. The monsters here are out of this world, and there's hardly any humans around. Things take a distinctly Lovecraftian turn, and the scary factor here comes from an unknown malevolent entity. This leaves episode 2, The Facilities, in a strange middle ground. The second half has some occult and paranormal influence, but it's mostly based off how the military has been tapping into whatever forbidden knowledge they've discovered deep underground. Most of the environments in this episode are quite industrial, and I would say the horror is almost technological. I'm not sure if there's a term for it, but surely being locked in some industrial grade meat grinder bigger than anyone could possibly build in real life, almost literally lost between the cogs of a cold and dead machine, has to be some distinct kind of horror. And I think that's the general atmosphere of E2M2. We've entered the level by an underground doorway into some decaying and worn out metal passages. The first thing you will notice is that it's almost too quiet. The previous level, the Granary, had an ambient musical track for when outside of combat, and it was ominous and foreboding, but it felt more like an omen of corporeal danger in the form of bullets and fireballs hurled towards you at staggering rates. But here, there is no music. The ambience is only some distant creaks and slams that one would hear in a decaying and ruined industrial facility. This means that as soon as you enter the level, you know something is off. You start moving, and there are absolutely no enemies. You can blow open these 2 cracks for 2 secrets. I don't actually like that the secret is above ground. The entirety of the level is underground besides this, and having this point of reference that you're not that deep in, and that there's always a sky above you, makes things a bit less claustrophobic and scary. You can find this door locked with a combination code. Up to this point, we've only seen something like this, blocking the way to the boss of episode 1, dangerous experiments gone wrong and wild. So we know that this kind of mechanism is used to lock very scary things inside. Once you guess the code, you're through into forbidden territory. You enter this bigger room with several doors and many dead soldiers. Bullet casings scattered everywhere. They were fighting something. A large generator is humming away, giving this place a slight sense of life. The left door opens to a scene of bloodshed. Bones and viscera scattered everywhere, and a message written in blood, "Don't go in the ruins." A yellow door marked "Ruins access." Foreboding. Good thing we don't need to go in there. The other options are another locked red door and a passageway marked artifact storage. So the environmental storytelling seems to be that the military discovered some ancient ruins and were digging up objects of great power, power that ended up corrupting them all in the end. So the only option is to go into the storage. As we enter, we hear the sound clip of something moving beyond the walls. It's not a machine, it seems to be some living, hulking creature. Certainly not a human nor an animal, something far more sinister. We find the key and it's yellow. It's the access key to the ruins. You know you have no choice. You have to go into the ruins now. So, with a sense of dread, we head down. A long ladder down into the bowels of the earth takes us to this small chamber that's been blockaded off from some other passage. We must destroy this to progress, taking us yet another tier of intrusion further. Whatever is down here has been locked off so thoroughly, we wonder how dangerous it could be. It's pitch black down here, and we can only rely on the flashlight. The cone for it is pretty narrow, so we don't get to see much of our surroundings, adding to the claustrophobia and confusion. We enter this long hallway of unknown origin. This hasn't been built by the military, it looks centuries old. At the very end, we can see the red glisten of the key out of here. As we get closer past these jail cells, several things happen in quick succession. You hear a distinct sound, kind of like an anger bawl. You get the red key, you read the writing, don't trust your eyes. Once you turn around to leave, you hear a constant breathing sound. It's getting louder. Don't trust your eyes. Unseen. You don't know what to do. You don't know what is happening. Unsure, you pull the trigger and... The Wendigo is one of the most iconic enemies in Dusk. It starts off completely invisible until it gets damaged. Then they play this jump scare noise and show their true ugly selves. When one gets aggroed onto you, it plays this distinct sound, regardless of how far away you are, and your flashlight malfunctions for a moment. That's how you know it's coming for you. When it gets near, you can locate it by the loud noises it makes, and the bloody footprints it leaves on the ground. What really happened in this sequence was that the Wendigo saw us through the metal bars, then went around the long way to reach us, making it seem like it's been hounding you ever since you've come down here. Once it's dead, a stress-type music kicks in to build tension, letting you know the spooky part of the level is over, and now we're getting into the shooty bang bang. Thematically speaking, a Wendigo is a creature from Native American folklore. From what I could gather reading the Wikipedia article, the Wendigo are monsters that were transformed humans, and they are capable of turning them into more Wendigos. However, perhaps a closer relation to what is depicted in-game is a different Native American mythological being, a skinwalker, as they are witches capable of disguising themselves as animals. It's also the name for the music track on this level. Wendigos and skinwalkers seem to have been kind of conflated in the mass perception into one being, but they originate from different tribes, so they cannot be the same thing. Before we leave, the walls have recessed to reveal another Wendigo. These two encounters make sure you know how to locate and deal with those foes. We climb back up the ladder, and the cold metal corridors seem almost welcoming now. The artifact storage has reformed as well, and two welders ambush us. Doesn't matter, we've got the key out of here. We fight through a room of soldiers before entering into some rusty metal artery. Passing the corner, there's another Wendigo down the hallway, but there's some props in the way. As it approaches, it pushes them aside, giving you another visual indication of where it is. We kill it easily, and enter this medium-sized arena behind the generator. I'm not a big fan of this one. We must pick up the blue key in the center to progress, but doing so will spawn 2 Grand Mages and 2 more Welders. 4 enemies with decent health, and very hard to avoid attacks, along with no room to maneuver, means that you basically have to hide under this walkway and slowly pick them off. Once they're dead, you can progress through this wide doorway. And what happens after? Well, maybe I should just show you. Wow. That might have been too much to take in at once, so let's dissect what's happening. The music crescendos into one of the more intense riffs in the game. You get the machine gun, and a horde of soldiers approach you down this spiral staircase. This weapon has a high fire rate, and the enemies have low health, so you couldn't be in a better position to mow them down as you perforate them faster than they can run towards you. You reach the top and enter some kind of storage facility. There are explosive barrels scattered around the area, and the shells are destructible, making for a supremely satisfying shooting gallery. If you spotted the fast fire totem, you can use it for the final assault. Pressing the button will let loose welders from one side and soldiers from the other. Depending on how much or little of the props you've destroyed, the arena is a bit different each time. Again, not much room to maneuver, so this entire section is one of the more hectic set pieces of the game. And that's all without a single scripted event. We've reached the end of this level, and what can I say? It starts off with a masterful display of atmosphere, building suspense, culminating in your first encounter with one of the scarier enemies of the game. The only real scripted event here is that 2 walls open up to let the enemies through. But that's it. This is organic game design done right. What follows is a heart-pumping combat sequence where you're just meant to have fun. It's a bit like a turret section, except without a turret. You get the most efficient weapon for clearing out the enemies in front of you, and the music pushes you forward and go to town. It's not super challenging besides the last arena, and the enemy variety is almost non-existent. But the music and level design make this one of the most intense sequences of the game. Wendigos return in later levels in less scary fashion, but they still sometimes appear in creepier set pieces. Like how in Escher Labs you're teleported inside this ribcage of some massive monstrosity, and 2 invisible goatmen appear, wanting to tear you apart. So yeah, I love this level. I might discuss a few more stages from this game, as there's a few other superbly atmospheric sections, or maybe make a full-blown analysis of the entire game. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you later.